Here is my new FPL draft for game week 1. We are just a few days away now from the return of Premier League and the first FPL deadline of the new season, and everything was going okay. We were getting to the point with our squads where everything started to look quite settled. And then one of the craziest weekends of pre-season friendlies, plus the Community Shield we've had in recent years, has shaken the boat so much. So many good picks scored. Some highly owned players that we all wanted didn't even start their matches. Erling Haaland did, but he didn't look particularly great. There was a lot to talk about. Will I play the early bench boost or will I not? Is there a chance I go without Haaland or Bruno Fernandes to spread the money on some other great picks? Let's dive in. It's my new draft. What is up, everyone? FPL Harry here. Before we dive in, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new around here, and I apologize if you've been a long subscriber of the channel. A little bit of a plug, as we are so close to the start of game week 1. There might be some new viewers who either aren't subscribed yet, or maybe this is your first time ever watching an FPL Harry video. Well, nice to meet you. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for watching. I've been playing FPL for many years, and over the last 6 years, I finished inside the top 10k in 5 of those 6 years. The only time I finished outside of it was last year, where I still managed to finish 26k. So those 6 seasons, I hope, look pretty good. That actually puts me as the 3rd highest FPL manager in the world over the last 6 years in terms of average rank. If that's something you're interested in, I also produce content basically every single day throughout the season, every single game week, hopefully giving you advice, looking at my team, talking about transfers to get you ready for the new season. So apologies for a bit of a plug, but it really does help at this time of the year. If you could drop a like on the video, share it around, and subscribe if you are new. But we are here to talk about my new draft. This weekend, the preseason, we start to see lineups, we start to see how teams are playing, and we start to really shape our drafts. And I think over the past 2 weeks before that weekend, there hasn't been much to shape or change the way the FPL is looking. And this weekend changed all of that. There were so many highly owned players that we were all considering score. Erling Haaland came into the Manchester City lineup, didn't play particularly well, and Manchester City lost 3-0 to Arsenal, a team where not many of us have that much coverage in our team. Brian and Burmo didn't even start, and Brentford, Igor Thiago, Kevin Schade, won 7-0 amongst a whole host of other things. And I have always said that since I did my last draft almost a week and a half ago, that I would not talk about my draft until this weekend was out of the way, entirely for this reason, which is why we are finally back with a few days to go with more clarity about what my draft is going to look like. So at the moment, I am planning on bench boosting in game week 1, but I'm less certain of it than I have been. When we talk through my draft, we'll see that there are a few players that aren't officially locked in that I don't love. And I think if I freed up a bit of money from my bench, I would be able to upgrade them to players I feel a little bit more comfortable with. Now, I could get the bench boost out of the way early, and there is a benefit to that in either game week 1 or game week 2 with the likes of Ipswich at home to Sunderland or Coventry at home to HAALAND game week 2. There are definitely still benefits to that. And at the moment, I still favour bench boost 1 or bench boost 2. But there is part of me that just wonders, you know what, Harry, you've always saved it. Save it, play your wild card, then you can bench boost and just make sure you're putting out the best starting lineup for the start of the season when you've got the least amount of money because we haven't built up any squad value. Don't go investing it in a 4.5 million goalkeeper that you don't really want or another 4.5 million defender who you don't really want. So I am wondering about that. But let's dive in and have a look at the draft. I'm sticking with Kinski. I still think he is an underpriced goalkeeper. He should be 5 million looking at the way that Spurs have strengthened in pre-season. My general understanding and vision of Spurs is I think they've strengthened really well defensively. Tonali in midfield, they've got Senesi, they've got Van Heck, even Andy Robertson at left back I think is playing pretty well. So I expect them to be strong defensively. And I still don't see them as a team that I expect to score loads of goals. And as a result, defensively, they will have to be strong. Robertson at 4.5 at left back is an interesting pick. You've got Van Heck in defense at 5 million, who I think will be fantastic for DEFCON. But it's difficult to want a double up. And if I'm going with any of them, I think Kinski is the first choice. Then my backup is Verbruggen. And to be honest, if you're on bench boost 1, there isn't really any other goalkeeper that you can go with. All the other cheap goalkeepers in Petrovic, in Rushworth, or the other newly promoted teams, unless I doubled up on Ipswich, which I don't really want to do, I do expect Sunderland to score. you're only left with Verbruggen, who actually has a half decent fixture in game week 1. But when we move into my defense, I have gone with Vuskovic and I've taken out Vardiol. Now, I think there is a little bit of doubt in my mind about how nailed Vardiol is in that Manchester City team when they've got O'Reilly and Aït-Nouri both to play left back. Then they've got Ruben Diaz, Marc Guéhi and Vardiol to be their first choice centre-backs. And they just shipped 3 goals to an Arsenal team who looked very good and tore them apart, but actually a team we don't always expect to score loads of goals. And Vuskovic has looked pretty good. His DEFCON numbers are great, and I do think he has pretty solid attacking threat. My only concern with this is I'm bench boosting in game week 1 with double Brighton defence just a few days after they play in Europe on Thursday, which is why I won't lock in my final draft until much closer to the deadline, because if Brighton look really tired as they finish that game on Thursday night, I might have to reevaluate having 2 of them at the moment, but actually a third one in my midfield. Calafiori has been the Arsenal defender I've wanted for a while. Yes, he scored at the weekend, but that just sort of cements him as the one I want. The only thing that could change that is my slight doubt about his minutes. The last 2 pre-season friendlies, the Community Shield and the one before, he got taken off 59 minutes in both matches, which would mean he doesn't get the clean sheet. If Timber is likely out still for a while, as much as Calafiori's attacking threat looks very good, I might just opt for the slightly safer, more assured minutes that Ben White gives. But I do like Calafiori's attacking threat, but we can definitely see if they're 2 or 3-0 up against Coventry in game week 1, Calafiori off Hincapié is a sub that's going to be made pretty much every single game. It's just whether it happens pre-60 or not, which is slightly concerning, but I do like his attacking threat. The final starting defender we've got is Harry Maguire. Again, a defender that scored. They didn't look that great defensively, but I like the opening fixtures. As I've said, his DEFCON numbers are not bad, and he's worth the money over going for Luke Shaw because the attacking threat with Casemiro not in the team and Bruno Fernandes delivering that ball is well worth it. And I still plan on playing him in 4 of the first 5, apart from the Manchester City fixture in game week 4. The 2 cheap options that I've gone with, I've gone back to Diop at Ipswich. O'Shea is a nice pick and he scored in their most recent preseason friendly, but he's actually been playing right back for the last couple of games, which will really damage his DEFCON appeal, whereas Diop is nailed and he will also be playing centre-backs. Although O'Shea and maybe Davis on the other side have great attacking threat when they play those fullback positions, I want the safer, slightly more nailed option who is also good for DEFCON in Diop. And then the Leeds defenders, I keep going round and round. If you follow me on Twitter or anywhere on social media, you will know I am having a hard time in deciding which Leeds defender to go with. At the moment, this draft has 0.0 in the bank, so I've had to go with Joe Rodon. I have no real doubt in my mind that he is nailed. I expect him to play 90 in all of the first 5. I'm not wanting to upgrade him because of minutes. I understand some people will see their new signings coming in and think Rodon's not 100% nailed, and maybe he's 90 instead of 100, but he's nailed. I'm not going to drop him based off a minutes basis, but their other centre-back who is 5 million, Muremovic, is better for DEFCON and probably is slightly better for attacking threat. Now, he's got a bicycle kick in their preseason game over the weekend. He's not going to do that probably ever again in his career, but his attacking data is slightly better and his DEFCON numbers will be better than you get with Rodon. So if I find 0.5 between now and the game week 1 deadline, I might look to upgrade it. But I think Rodon is head and shoulders the best 4.5 million defender to own at the moment. So then into midfield, and I think this is probably where I'm least settled. Bruno Fernandes is in. Now, he's missed back-to-back penalties. He only got an assist, but I still look at Hull and Ipswich, and actually the fact that I'm not convinced Bryan Mbeumo is as good a pick as he was means I just want to go with Bruno. I've then got Florian Wirtz, but again, he didn't play enough minutes in their game, didn't get an attack in return, but their opening 5 fixtures also still look really good. So I do want a bit of Liverpool coverage, and I'm pretty happy with Wirtz. It might end up being Dominic Szoboszlai. Bryan Mbeumo didn't start, but that feels more like minutes management, given he's played so much of preseason, and someone like a Mateus Cunha needed the minutes. And to be honest, they didn't look great while Bryan Mbeumo wasn't on the pitch, so I do expect him to start game week 1. And then I've had to go with 2 cheaper options. I've got Pascal Gross to triple up on Brighton, which I don't feel entirely comfortable with, given they play Europa Conference League qualifiers on the Thursday night before game week 1 and then the Thursday night before game week 2. But he is a nice option on set pieces, on penalties. And when you watch them play late on in the game, if someone like a Hinchelwood isn't playing 90, which he isn't, and he gets taken off, Pascal Gross is being pushed into the number 10. So he's not playing deep the whole game. And the final one, the 5 million options are quite difficult at the moment. At the moment, I've got Sangare of Nottingham Forest, not the 5.5 million Sangare of Brentford. He will be better for Defcon, but at 5 million at Nottingham Forest, he looks like a safe option. I could go for someone like a Gomez at Brighton, but he might have picked up an injury, and I'm not sure I want a double up on the Brighton midfield. And I also have Vuskovic and Verbruggen at the moment, so I couldn't have 4 Brighton players. So that's the way that I've shaped it up. It's slightly weak in that 4th midfielder / 5th midfielder rotation, but this draft can play a back 4 with Maguire, Vuskovic, Calafiori, Joe Rodon some weeks if it needs it to. And then up front, João Pedro and Calvert-Lewin have been on incredible form during pre-season. Do I wish I could also own Thiago? Yes, but I'm not dropping either of those. Their opening fixtures are incredible. And then I'm sticking with Haaland. Now, we'll talk a little bit about squad structure here, and I understand people wanting to drop Bruno or drop Erling Haaland, but I don't look at my team and think I'm sacrificing to be able to have both of these. Do I think João Pedro and Calvert-Lewin are great picks? Absolutely. Do I think Bryan Mbeumo and Florian Wirtz are good picks? Yes, I do. If I had more money, what would I do differently in this team? Well, maybe I would do Kinski to David Raya. Maybe I would do Pascal Gross up to Semenyo. But Haaland and Gross versus Semenyo and Thiago, I think is pretty close. And Semenyo didn't look particularly great in the Community Shield over the weekend. Now, I know there is a lot of reliance on Erling Haaland to do well, but I just don't look at this team and think I'm sacrificing in order to have Bruno and Haaland. And that's the stage I would need to be at in order to consider going without one of them. They're the 2 highest owned players in the game. They both have good opening fixtures, and I expect them to be 2 of the highest point scorers in the opening 10 weeks of the season. So unless I feel like the rest of my squad is really sacrificing in order to afford both Bruno and Haaland, at that point, then maybe I consider taking one out. And I know neither of them have been particularly great in pre-season, and neither of them are going into the start of the season with that many minutes or that much form. But they're still the best players in the Premier League. They're still the best picks in the game, I think. Whether they're good value or not is down to whether I think I'm sacrificing in the rest of my team. And when I look at it, I don't really think I am. So I'm pretty happy to go with both of them. No, wait. I packed Erling Haaland. Oh no, wait. Now, I actually packed Joe Rodon, a player who is in my current FPL draft. Quite a good pick, but this is Club, who are sponsoring the video once again. It is a completely free-to-play football manager game where every few hours you get given a pack. You might be lucky to pack someone like an Erling Haaland, but someone like a Joe Rodon is still pretty useful to have in your squad because there is a salary cap. Every few hours you get given a random player. If you like them, you can add them into your lineup and you build a squad, and every weekend you get matched against a random opponent. And just like FPL, you score points depending on how they do in real life. I absolutely love it. I play it every single day, and you are loving the game just as much as I am. Almost 5,000 of you have downloaded the game and joined my league ahead of the new season. And we're trying to hit 5,000 by game week 1. There is a link in the description to download it if you, for whatever reason, are not playing Club already. Honestly, it is so much fun to play alongside FPL. Even if you're new to the game or you've been playing it a while, once you're in, make sure you're joining my league code. Completely free to play. Download it with the link in the description now. And I have mentioned that I am starting to wonder a little bit about deactivating the bench boost and actually saving it and spending all that money on players who are actually going to be in my starting lineup and in my squad every single week. And I can evaluate the bench boost further down the line when we have more information on who those good cheap players are going to be, rather than taking gambles on Ipswich and Coventry at the start of the season and on Brighton after they've played the Thursday before game week 1. So this is just to show you what that would look like if I decided not to play the early bench boost. There are 4 changes to my team. 2 of them are downgrades, 2 of them are upgrades. So I downgrade the 4.5 million goalkeeper to Dubravka, so Verbruggen down to Dubravka. I downgrade my 5 million midfield in Sangare to a 4.5 million midfielder, probably Crooks of Hull, who is still expected to start games, so will get some points even when he's sitting on my bench. Both of those free up 0.5, so that puts 1 million in the bank, which allows me to go from Rodon up to Mremovic. Again, if I'm going to play him a lot, I would like to do that upgrade, and it allows me to do Pascal Gross up to Kevin Schade. Now, some of you will think these are big upgrades, and some of you will think the Kevin Schade one's not that much of an upgrade. You're just reacting to pre-season, and Joe Rodon versus Mremovic is quite close. And that's where I'm at the moment, which is why I still favor the bench boost team. But there is part of me that thinks go for someone like a Kevin Schade. That could be an Enzo Lafie, an Iliman and Die, who I do prefer over Pascal Gross. Muramovic is safer than Joe Rodon. His DEFCON numbers are better if I'm going to be playing him a lot of the time. So I am torn a little bit. I would say I'm still 75% that I go with the bench boost team. But if Kevin Schade and Brentford start to tempt me a little bit more, and I want Brian and Burmo, I want Florian Wirtz, I want a strong defense, then maybe I just say, well, let's not bench boost early. It is popular, people will be doing it, but I can play it later down the line. Very briefly, just to wrap up and touch on captaincy. Before we do that, if you are not in my FPL league ahead of the new season, the code is A6FGYM. It will be up on screen. There's a link in the description to make sure you're auto joined ahead of game week 1. Make sure you are in my league. But captaincy, at the moment, it still remains on Haaland. As much as Haaland didn't show me anything on Sunday to really want to captain him, I'm not sure Bruno Fernandes has massively done it either. He's missed 2 penalties. Now, he could have scored those. He's on penalties, but so is Erling Haaland. He could get one just as much as Bruno has. But open play threat, I haven't seen loads from Bruno to massively think he's got a haul potential in him. Now, he does have the easier fixture, and I haven't fully decided. But at the moment, Haaland keeps it because as much as he hasn't really shown me anything, well, he hasn't shown any of us anything in pre-season yet, but he is Erling Haaland. I don't think Bruno has massively shown us anything apart from assists in pre-season, which is what he did at the end of last year. But we know Haaland starts strong. So at the moment, he still has my armband. So I do feel much more comfortable. I think a lot of those 5 million defenders are just so essential for the long term. If you look at the rotation that the Arsenal defence plus a Man United defender, a Leeds defender, Brighton or City, and one of the newly promoted defenders in Ipswich or Coventry give you, it sets you up so well. The forward line looks really strong. I expect to use my transfers in midfield. Defence I'm happy with. I think they're safe long-term picks. Up front, I feel the same. Midfield, I'm less certain of. So maybe I target the short-term fixtures with someone like an Mbeumo, a Wirtz, a Kevin Schade, or a Pascal Gross. And then I can use my transfers there to evaluate, move to a City midfielder, move to a Semenyo potentially, buy Morgan Rogers of Chelsea. These are all things I'm considering, but we're going to wrap it up there. We've got a few days to go before the start of game week 1. We'll talk lots more about my draft and about my team as we get closer to that. Thank you all for watching. If you really have enjoyed, please do drop a like. Make sure you've joined my league. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. There is so much to come over the season. We are just getting started. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be back again very soon.